what is Ghost Lifestyle and why is it so damn popular?
I think it started as just a cool way to engage with you.
I need to know what's in the fucking thing, man.
It sucks.
I will say this, if anybody out there is thinking about starting a brand, like the best advice I could give is girls just want to have fun.
I got an actual boner.
That's Ghost in a nutshell. Probably the number one DM I get.
Please be a dick.
It was a dick.
That's what the people need. Everyone wants a little bit of Max in their mouth.
Yes.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
We wanted to challenge how big we can make this.
Side effects of this collab, penis enlargement.
Especially because you're just so freaking vascular.
Is that like the G-spot?
Something like that, yep.
Oh, look at that, man. That's sick. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Don't Be Sour, the most energized podcast in the world. This one, big number 16, with not only the owners of Ghost Lifestyle, Ghost Energy, but former NFT holders. Did you sell them all?
Do you see these hands? I'm still holding.
I just know that your avatars have no longer, a little alien friend guy, he's no longer there.
He's not, but he's still in my wallet.
Yeah.
I almost bought one of those because of you. I was like, I'm not going to miss out on this money. And then boom.
I've got 40, so.
But gentlemen.
I think the three of us have done a lot of things really well. I think that we've enjoyed collectively the adventure together. The one thing that the three of us have not done well amongst each other is invest.
Yeah.
And in other things except for our own businesses, thank God.
We're trying out here.
Here's why Dan's full of shit. Because Dan does all the things that we do, but then he takes his cash out and tells you 2 months later.
It's like, buy. And then he's like, wait, what, you didn't sell? It's like, wait.
Max and I are like, I got 40 of these. Dan's like, yeah, I got one.
Well, gentlemen, welcome. We have Mr. Dan, Mr. Ryan, owners of Ghost. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
And this one's exciting because I just got back from the doctor. Turns out I can drink. Whoa. So we got
Where'd you pull that out from?
Yeah, my ass. We start with a shot and loosen us up. Why don't you tell the people who you are as individuals, what you do. Introduce yourselves.
You take it. I'm going to sit here and admire just the extent and the detail of all the branded elements.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Always be selling.
Before we get into us, you've done a phenomenal job on the podcast.
Yeah,
man.
seriously.
This looks great.
Thanks, man. I do say this to everyone, but this is probably my favorite one.
What's that?
This podcast.
Okay.
This podcast episode.
Yeah.
This episode. This is going to be fun.
Welcome.
To Don't Thanks for having us, bro.
Cheers.
Logo's out.
Logo's out. Boom.
Bang.
This is my first sip of alcohol in 45 days.
Whew. Wow. And you saved it for us? Yeah, okay. It definitely is.
Just as much like shit.
He's not lying. Look at that.
Yeah, we're going to crack over the entire
you said
time.
This was the most energized podcast, but it's about to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are sipping on the Strabango Magahita.
Ghost first ever athlete, influencer, homie collab.
I like how you corrected. You're like, athlete. Fuck, he's not really an athlete. Influencer. So who are you guys?
I'm Ryan. This is Dan.
Hey.
Known as the founders of Ghost now. I think we are a couple industry vets, dudes that actually fell in love with sports nutrition at a very early age. And I think our careers kind of speak to that in very different ways. Obviously, Dan was an executive for another large brand in the space, and he can give you more about his kind of background. I was a fitness athlete spokesmodel for a larger brand in the space, and we kind of met through a mutual friend in the gym, actually, and we traveled to a lot of the sports and fitness expos and stuff together. And that's kind of where our friendship blossomed, and we had always talked about doing something together, and obviously we had a passion for sports nutrition and developing products and brands.
Heck yeah, you do. Look at you, bro. Can we get the camera to zoom in on Ryan right now? Look how just jacked he is.
35-year-old Ryan is.
Every time we go out, I ask Ryan, I'm like, Ryan, what are your macros, man? Like, what are your carbs at right now?
I haven't tracked macro in a decade, but that was my previous life, and I think sports nutrition in general, 5-10 years ago was a very different place.
Yeah.
And I think we saw an opportunity to build something that spoke to really the people that were actually using the products, which is, everyone at this stage, especially today, right? So we tossed around some ideas. We actually tried a lot of different types of things together, whether it was, protein foods, and I think we did something with nightlife, some ideas.
Toss around a lot
of
business ideas, yeah.
This is the first thing that we jumped in both feet and went 110%. quit both of our jobs, and really devoted our entire lives and every dime we had to it, purely for the love of what we were doing and the opportunity that we thought was in front of us. And fast forward 6 years, here we are. But
okay, well, to be honest, I just want to know who you were, Ryan. I didn't need the backstory of Ghost right yet.
Okay, sorry.
We're getting ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
Dan, who are you?
Look, I came around the industry in a completely different way. My background was actually in aviation as a private pilot. I was flying.
What?
Yeah, I was a flight instructor, and I flew some turboprops and a couple small jets.
Do you have a license right now? Could you could fly?
Yeah, if we are on an aircraft together and something goes wrong, I got you.
Legally, I think you'd need to re-up that.
Is it true? Okay, right.
Legally, I can go fly right now to carry passengers. I got to do 3 takeoffs and landings.
Planes going down, pilots dead. Is it true? You just pull up. Is it just?
I mean, pulling up is a good.
And why? I'm deviating here. I digress. Why, when they do the pull up, they act like they're deadlifting 600 pounds? Is it with technology? Wouldn't it just be like,
Depends.
It's not like,
it depends on the aircraft. It depends on the aircraft and kind of like the G forces going down and et cetera.
Is that like the G spot?
It's a little different. Just like pulling up is a little different than pulling out, but both will save your life.
What podcast are we on right now?
Both the G force and the G spot. No one knows what it is.
Oh man, yeah. Well, look, that was my background. And
that's Dan's background.
I was on call 24/7, and when you're on call 24/7, there's not a lot of hobbies you can have. So I naturally kind of found the gym and fitness, and ultimately, sports nutrition. And look, like back when I was 23, 24 years old, so about 100 years ago, went through a bad breakup. Thought my world was ending, like all 24-year-old idiots, and thought I would take a break from the cockpit and stopped flying for a little bit, and had an opportunity to go to work in sports nutrition. I thought it'd be fun. I thought it'd be temporary. I'm going to go back to flying 1,000%. One thing led to another. Fast forward a couple of years, that company that I was with, blew up from 15 people to 170, and had a lot of great success over there. And
can you say what company it was?
Never look back. Yeah, I was with Cellucor, LinkedIn. It's on my LinkedIn. Not secret.
Okay.
But anyways, look, I in November of 2010, I was on the team and came up with a crazy idea for a product called C4. Obviously, what C4 has done in the industry has been insane.
You spearheaded that, right?
Yeah, and they've continued to take it to new heights, and it's been cool because it's been a trailblazer for everything after it, inclusive of Ghost. Right? Again, it's kind of one of the first modern pre-workouts to combine great packaging, great branding, flavors, etc. And from there, the industry continues to hopefully drive itself forward. So I was very proud to be part of that. Obviously, after a victory and home run like that, never went back to flying. And that ultimately led me to this place. So I think it's an interesting background, but I think at the core of it, I was a fan, I was a user of the products, and then hopefully we've carried that through everything we do today.
And what are your exact roles as the owners of Ghost? What do you call yourselves?
Co-founders, CEO, CMO, respectively, Chief Everything Officer, and Chief. I was going to try to come up with a better word than marketing, just make it fun, but marketing officer.
Do you decide when being you guys are, essentially BFFs, starting a company together? What's the conversation like of, hey, we want to start this company, I'm going to focus on this? Or do you be like, okay, like, what are you good at, man? Like, what am I good at? Okay, like, how do you decide who does what?
In the early days, I think there's a lot of overlap.
Yes.
And I think in the more recent years, and specifically the last 2 years, 3 years, I think it's felt a lot more divide and conquer has been necessary. And ultimately, I think, we've always gelled and kind of met the intersection of the brand direction, product direction, a lot of the big company partnership direction things. We've always kind of discussed those things and kind of teamed up on those things. But, for me, I've spent a lot of my time on kind of ops, finance, legal, even product development, some of the science, innovation side of things. And even initially, outside of Ryan just being a great friend, I've, several other friends, but I wouldn't necessarily want to dive into a business with them like this. But Ryan from day one has always combined, in my opinion, the credibility of being an athlete and a pro athlete, frankly, in the space, but also has an amazing eye for brand, and one of the only people I know that I can take my eyes off that and just fully trust that whatever we do, whatever comes out of Ghost's mouth is going to be in an on brand and great great way. So I think naturally we kind of developed the roles that we have today. And the two things that, anything that's outside of that or that we feel like we're not great at or need help at, that's how we've kind of always hired. That's been the hiring strategy, just to surround ourselves with great people too.
I mean, I guess, you're big in the marketing thing. You love doing, because you're the CMO, right? So big brand guy.
Yeah. I mean, I love people and I love creative. Those are my two passions.
Are you just looking around and saying things that you love?
No, those two things are very much like the two things I gravitate
dogs,
towards every day.
tequila,
Love dogs,
energy drinks.
Love lamp.
So, I think that's what I've gravitated towards. And I think also when you start a business, like Dan said, you're kind of doing everything. We're customer support emails, the whole 9 yards, right? And you start to figure out not only what you like, what you don't like, but also what you're good at, what you're not. And self-awareness is key, especially early on. Yeah. And I think we were very aware of like the things that I think each one of us was good at, not good at. And I think the biggest piece, especially when you're going into business with like a friend, is egos aside, right? We're growing this and we're building this business together. And the goal is to grow Ghost, right? It's not to grow Dan, it's not to grow Ryan, it's to grow Ghost. We'll do whatever it takes to get there. And I think having that kind of almost mutual pact or agreement early on has led us to, regardless of the situation, be able to figure it out.
Well, I think you handling a lot of like the marketing directives makes sense because you were essentially a marketing genius before you came on the scene, because Ryan was the YouTuber influencer before there was YouTuber influencers.
I was wondering where he's going with this, and I'm like...
No, I'm not going to I'm not going to show you like your half-naked photos and stuff, man. I'm not going to put them on the screen right here for everyone to see. I'm not going to do that. But you made YouTube videos like way back in the day.
I honestly...
You're a YouTuber.
I cannot say that I've made YouTube videos.
I watched them today.
Yeah. Those were not YouTube videos, especially
they technically are YouTube videos.
To be honest with you, like I have a shit ton of respect for what you do because I see the time and energy that goes into it. Dude, I had literally a handheld digital camera and I was turning it on myself in Dan's apartment saying, "Hey, I'm in Vegas. We're going to EDC."
Well, what's interesting is the first time that I ever got affiliated with Ghost, one of my buddies one time, I mentioned that Ryan Hughes is one of the, I was like, yeah, Ryan's one of the owners. Like, Ryan who? I'm like, Ryan Hughes. He's like, holy shit, Ryan Hughes? It's like, yeah. He's like, dude, do you know who that is? Like, I don't know, he's a really jacked guy. He's like, dude, he's like the face of like BSN. I didn't know about this world of influencers before I was like even started. You were in the generation kind of before.
I think, to be honest,
he also just called you old. That's fine.
He did.
No, you are old as shit.
I mean, look, you want to hear something old? When I started my fitness career, Instagram didn't exist, so pretty old.
I wouldn't want to live in that world.
Yeah, so the term influencer was that came after whatever the hell I was doing. But I think traditionally in fitness or really any space, right? Like me being a sponsored athlete meant like I would travel and I would be a spokesmodel for the brand, but I would also be featured in like their print ads and various different video assets and stuff they have.
Magazines and stuff.
That was kind of it, right? Like that was the goal, and obviously you were compensated for that. You took the products, talked the brand, all of those things. I think, for me, I never had aspirations to be like on the Olympia stage. I liked competing because it was challenging, but I never had aspirations to compete forever. And I think I got into the fitness space, specifically like men's fitness, men's physique. I was at the first show. Right. So I got in really early and I showed up in shape and I got one of the first couple pro cards and I leveraged that to build my training business in New York, which ultimately put me on the map. But like, I wasn't special. I was early and I understood that through, early success, I could leverage that and try to build a name for myself. And that was what I did.
Final question on that aspect of your life. Did you ever have one of those giant banners at the expos with you on it?
I have a feeling you already know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
I mean, to be honest, I did, so I know you did.
You had a banner of you?
I at the side of the Cellucor booth.
What?
Was like 1 year. Yeah.
Something that it never got to happen. I felt like it was almost in my grasp right before COVID.
Is this coming up in contract negotiations?
No,
we'll do it.
One time I went to the expo and I think it was when Christian was like with Gymshark, and he had there was a big banner up there and had like Christian on there, and I was like, man, one day I'm gonna be able to.
I'll be honest.
I never got to be on the banner.
Honestly, this is the coolest thing.
That is pretty cool.
The greater. How many of those banners were there?
A lot of banners.
No. There's one. Just one at Olympia.
There's one at Olympia. You know how many of your little face in the history of Ghost there's now been?
I see.
Yeah.
This is way cooler than a banner.
This is way cool.
Your face is on an energy drink.
And why don't we? So explain what is Ghost Lifestyle and why is it so damn popular?
Well, the popularity piece of it, I think, to me, is continually like mind blowing, and and humbling, because at the core of everything we do, honestly, Ghost is a very personal statement. I think we've really tried to create product and really created a brand around a lifestyle that we lived, essentially, and like our friends lived, and we're just like, hey, like we are inspired and continually bring in influences to the brand from things that we know and use, every day. And so I think the fact that it's kind of grown to the level it has, I mean, it's beyond my wildest dreams, and I think it's something that, like, there's just no shortage of pinch me moments at Ghost. But as far as what the brand is, and I think I want to answer that in like today's context versus like when we first set out. When we set out, it was like, hey, like we want to create this brand where the marketing is no marketing. We want to tell the truth about like how people, like, just work hard, play hard, ditch the filters, ditch this fake perfection that frankly sports nutrition and fitness had. And we just want to, make, supplements and promote a lifestyle where, although there's one foot in the gym, it's more about what you can do with it, where you can go with it, right? The wall, far beyond the walls of the gym, I think is the line that we use then. Granted, at that point in time, we only really had pre-workout and amino acids, so probably two of the broiest of bro products that could exist.
That's okay.
The flavors were fruit punch and blue raz, and
those are good flavors, man.
We didn't even have protein because we couldn't afford it, right? That's like kind of where the roots were. But as far as where Ghost is going and like what it is today, I mean, to me, we are really trying to create essentially the Nike of active nutrition. And it hasn't really been done before, so it's a massive goal. But what I mean by that is a lot of times in these industries, you have like these one-hit wonders, and there's no disrespect to that, because a lot of times the one product or one hit is bigger than our entire company today.
Yeah.
Like Red Bull just makes energy drinks. Muscle Milk just makes protein drinks, right? You've got a lot of great powder brands or protein brands or just brands that only make pre-workout within that. But for us, like, it's all important, and we want to do all those things. So, we've got like, our powder arm, where within there you've got pre-workout, you've got protein, you got your lifestyle stuff like greens and obviously gamer and esports have been a big newer initiative for us the last few years, and that's great. In the beverage arm, obviously you've got energy and then protein ready to drink. You've got merchant apparel, which has been something which we have been really successful at, even growing it kind of like as a hobby or as a side thing for Ghost, but something I think we want to put a little more emphasis on going forward. And then of course, like, we've been working on some functional food, like, type things, but there's never really been a brand to do all those things. And I think we've been really inspired, being fans of Nike, but been inspired by how Nike can have these different verticals, have these different categories, all these different sports, that the common denominator is this community and this brand and this kind of premium feel of Nike. Like, why can't that exist in the active nutrition world?
I mean, you're essentially like the cool brand
We're the fun brand.
You're the fun brand.
I think we're the authentic. We're just ourselves.
I know. So something you've said in a lot of your interviews, and even when you brought this fantastic athlete on board, you would say how, like, back in Ryan's days, people would go out, they go to the clubs, they're these fitness influencers, we'll call them, and people would maybe like hide their drinks, or they wouldn't want to be, photos taken with them, maybe taking a shot, or, just having a life, because they're like, no, I need to focus only on this bodybuilding lifestyle. I can't let people see this other side of me because they're going to think whatever. And you were just like, no, these people are drinking. These people are going to the club. And so was that like kind of like the angle of like, hey, well, let's make the brand that isn't
we just
afraid
wanted to share our reality.
Yeah.
I think that was the goal. It's like, let's share the reality. When we were, one of the nights we've talked a lot about over the years, right? It's like the night we had this like epiphany, or like kind of the idea for how we wanted to go to market with what ultimately would become Ghost. And one of the inspirational moments was seeing some of the athletes or influencers, whatever the word was back then, everyone was out. We're throwing a huge party every Saturday night at Olympia. Dan and Ryan threw a party, had nothing to do with our brands. It was just personal, like, here we go. One of the nights where, the music was great, table was great, had a huge turnout, but we were watching all these people hide their drinks, like taking pictures, which what you're referencing. It's like, they would be so much more relatable if they just shared, like, yeah, I'm out at the club.
Why do you think I
friends.
post me just ripping shots on Saturday nights?
Yeah.
Relatable guy.
Yeah, but that's the point. Who wants to have to think at all times, at all hours of the day, through this filter that's been imposed by a sponsor?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Would you get in the earlier days of working with, well, not necessarily on one specific company, but working with maybe different supplement companies, was it ever anything of like, hey, don't really?
Yeah.
Like, don't show yourself drinking.
Wasn't it in your contract?
Yeah. I mean, I think back in the day, like, and look, to be honest with you, all of this still exists now in a different form, right? Back in the day, contractually, I have to not kind of share, all of the things that don't really correlate to this story of perfection, right? Because the story of perfection sells product, or at least that's what they thought. And I was a representation of the product they were selling, so I had to uphold that reputation at all hours, which truthfully kind of sucks because like you're a human being. Like, yeah, I was in shape, but I still went out and had a good time and like just wanted to have some drinks and enjoy some time with my friends.
Yeah,
right?
girls just want to have fun. Yeah,
girls just want to have fun. So now, but fast forward, right? Like this is pre-Instagram. A lot of this just exists in a different platform, right? Because how much of Instagram today is bullshit?
Yeah.
It's this portrayal of perfection or a lifestyle that isn't reality, right? And how many people are kind of seeking that lifestyle just because they see it on Instagram and kind of hold themselves to the same level of standards. So look, as a brand, we have tried to break down those things with respect to sports nutrition. It exists in life everywhere. And I think, our goal from starting Ghost day one was obviously to relate to all the people that were actively using our, these products and create a brand that they could kind of feel like they're a part of. But really, we just wanted to have some fun and kind of share the process along the way.
I think the impact that it's had was definitely not the goal or something we ever, I think, even dreamt of, right? I think it's cool if we zoom out 10,000 foot view right now. If you compare, sports nutrition and fitness where it is today versus when we started, I think that people have been empowered to be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. In an industry that's been so maligned and so taboo and so veins on veins and, drugs this and this, it's great to think like, hey, if there's one good thing that hopefully we were a small part of, that people have been empowered to be their authentic selves. Yes, you can be inspirational, aspirational, have a great physique, be an expert on like the subject matter, but also still go have a good time with your friends, whatever that means to you. And if there's one thing that I think we tried to accomplish, it was, to add that human element, to sports nutrition that desperately needed it back in 2015 when we were ideating this thing.
Obviously the branding on this stuff is sick. Obviously my face is super cool, but everything.
If you were going to ask how your face ended up in a can, I have no fucking idea.
we're gonna get to that rabbit world. It makes sense. It works though.
It's gorgeous.
So obviously, like Ghost is so in a good way, like different than other brands because I think I grew up with trying a lot of different proteins, whatever, and I look back and the companies almost like look the same as they did back then, and it's just it's that bodybuilding super bro, like bland, boring, and you guys just decided, was that always the goal of like, when we come out with this brand, it needs to be loud, it needs to be a complete 180 of what everyone else in the space is doing, because everyone else is it's just a boring, like in terms of its branding. It's not cool.
I don't think we ever had a conversation about being the cool guys. I think we set out to build a great brand that sold sports nutrition products, not a great sports nutrition brand. And I think there's a stark difference between those things, especially with respect to the approach creatively. Because when you put yourself in a box and say, I have to create a sports nutrition brand, and you look at a wall back in 2016, your parameters are like this, right? It's like science, it's black and white.
Yeah.
It's very like, there isn't a lot of creativity. And I think we said, hold on, forget sports nutrition. Let's just look at all of our favorite brands.
Yeah.
Sneaker brands, sneaker stores, sports nutrition brands that we thought were doing a lot of cool things, right? Clothing brands, et cetera, snowboard brands, whatever. And we said, cool, how do we build a brand that we feel like can hang at the levels of our favorite brands in general? And that's where I think we started with Ghost, and ultimately it came out loud and colorful and like really, really cool. But like that was not the goal. It was kind of like, let's just approach this from the ground up and see what happens.
It's a byproduct, right?
We were inspired by everything except for sports nutrition in building a brand that sold sports nutrition. And I think that's really important because a lot of industries today, especially smaller ones like supplements, there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do, a lot of copycats. And for us, it was like, okay, we are going to use and be influenced by everything except for the industry in which we are entering.
It's a good strategy.
To go and enter the industry.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. And, it's something as weird as it sounds is I think how cool just the product looks impacts, I think, people's buying, the way that they buy. Because, to be honest, as weird as it sounds, here's an example. Like, I personally think that, I know it's not, let's say it's not. I know it's not. But like vodka, like to me, I'm like, it's all really the same to me. I don't really give a shit, right? But if I'm having a bar cart in my house. What I buy,
Bottle matters.
the Ciroc. I buy this because the bottle, even though someone would be
I
like,
can't believe you went
there's-
Ciroc there, but I love the.
Well,
I understand.
whatever.
I appreciate the
I would've
point
went
you're
maybe
making.
Class Azul or
I
something, like
appreciate
something
the
with
point you're making, but Ciroc isn't that.
So it's like people care about just how something
Yeah.
looks in what they're using. So not only is it, clearly for the social media aspect, it's great in terms of its branding, but as weird as it sounds, like I think even just having a pre-workout in your cabinet that looks cool matters to as a consumer.
Yeah.
Because I would choose something that looks cool over something that's like bland. Like I want nicer looking things, cooler looking things. People are conversation starters like in my house. Like it is what it is.
I mean, look, in the last 10 years, in my opinion, sports nutrition products went from something that a lot of us hid under the sink or like kind of in the cabinet to something we leave on the counter because they are something you're proud of and you associate with and they look cool or what have you. But I think it's been a core like driving like mantra or just philosophy of the brand that we say we formulate for the 1% that understand that. That's the formula, the innovation, the ingredients. But you build the brand, the marketing, the message, and the flavors for the 99%.
Yeah.
I think that balancing act has been a big driver of any success that we've had as a brand, and it's been a big differentiator to how we think versus I think the industry at large before Ghost.
Well, I used to, at my old condo, I had my stovetop had a storage space on top of it, and I would put this is years ago, I put all my pre-workouts out there because I just loved like the color, like pop in my kitchen. So like what you said, people putting it on the counter rather than under makes sense. But with cool branding, you also have stacked ingredients because I don't know if everyone listening knows, but Dan you get like ingredient boners.
I do.
Actually, I'm worried if I go down this path that this podcast will be like 7 hours long because Dan will go into the thing. But like, for example,
I also might have to distance myself a little.
You might lift this table. Dan, you might lift this table up with the boner you're about to get.
Oh, so you heard about me.
Yes. So for example, like, okay, in this Ghost Energy, explain because I'm going to show like Dan, I mean, not just Dan, but everyone, like
Dan is fully the ingredient guy.
Big ingredient guy. So for example, what is alpha GPC, alpha glycerol phosphoryl?
Alpha GPC is a nootropic. It's a great choline source. And I think that our goal with Ghost Energy is, look, over the last few years, there's been this new, I think, subcategory of energy drinks, performance energy drinks. What I like, energy drink plus for the layman, right? And you have products out there saying, hey, look, you have your traditional Red Bulls and your Monsters, but here's an energy drink that's going to deliver something more than that, whether it's amino acids or focus or whatever. But the question I think that we had when we were looking at entering the category is like, are any of them actually delivering on that? And it's questionable. So what we wanted to do is say, hey, we're going to use great ingredients in their correct doses, put the ingredient, like list the actual doses transparently on the label. And again, most people are buying the energy drink because number one, your face is on it.
Yes.
And you're gorgeous. Or, flavor is a big drive. The number one purchase driver in the category is flavor. But for the people that actually care about what's under the hood and want to spin the bottle or like spin the can around, they're going to be impressed. So alpha GPC, it's a nootropic ingredient. So it's a focus ingredient. It's a great source of choline, and choline, helps, is a critical part of brain function and cognitive ability.
Everything that goes into Ghost, there's a reasoning why that ingredient is in there.
Yeah.
And you guys are big on your transparent labels. You tie it into the whole Ghost thing. But when you launched Ghost, you didn't have the full transparent. You had, they call it in the industry proprietary blends.
Yeah, we were 70%. It's really funny how quickly this shifted.
Now wait, hold on. Now, first of all, this is where I differentiate from the average consumer. And I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad. I don't give a fuck about a prop blend.
No, you're in the 99%.
Because I care if it, first, like, does it give me the energy? Does it give me the energy I need for my lift? Does it taste good? Does it mix good? I've never in my life been like, oh my, what does the ingredients on it? Maybe that's bad, maybe that's good. And so why did you get attacked when you first came out with why are people so against proprietary blends? Why do people care so much about, hey, there's 500 milligrams of this proprietary blend. I need to know what's in the fucking thing, man.
I think part of that's
what is that?
Part of that's cultural. Like
I haven't had a shot in like 45 days. So
wow. Shoot another one. Look, part of that's cultural. But look, when we launched Ghost, we thought we were moving the industry forward by saying, hey, as a rule, anything we do, 75+% of the formula is going to be disclosed. We're going to hold back the 25% really just for like proprietary IP type reasons, I guess. But we were going to move the industry forward by setting that as a rule, because every major brand on the industry that we were kind of comparing ourselves to from a formula perspective, we're still all proprietary blends. But again, like the way that we went to market was, I think, accessible. It was human. It was, transparent. We were like doing this stuff on Snapchat because we didn't have the resources or the ability or the know-how to do YouTube.
Yeah.
But we were like trying to like share some of the behind the scenes. We wanted to put ourselves out there. So when we did that, we launched with, again, like mostly transparent, but still a little bit held back. People go, yo,
You're
why
either
not?
full transparent or you're not.
Well, they just said, I think they held us to a different standard right away.
Yeah.
And you know what? We welcomed it because it gave us an interesting opportunity. We proved that we do something that almost no brand in any CPG category does, which is we listened. And on the very next product run, full transparency, you never look back.
I remember seeing the flack on the original, like, another brand with a proprietary blend, which again, that ain't me as a consumer because I don't
But it's
really,
great.
I don't
I'm
care.
actually happy it happened because it gave us an opportunity to say, you know what, guys, we heard you. And the very next product run, which we sold out virtually like in the first week or so, like the very next product run, boom, fully transparent, never look back. And that's just so important to us as people and Ghost as a brand, that we want people to feel included in what we do. We want people to have a voice in what Ghost does. And I think that's been a very important, component of the brand's DNA.
Yeah. So with supplements, there obviously there's a million different ingredients. When you go to make a supplement, like what makes truly a great supplement? Because I'm assuming, and I know there's more depth to this, but if there's 15 ingredients that every pre-workout has, and then there's like maybe 5 other ingredients that some people put in, right? There's probably, when everyone says like it's fully dosed on this. So apparently there's standards of like what is a minimum, what is fully dosed, what's too much. So how do you guys stand out apart if everyone has access to these commodity ingredients? So couldn't everyone make the perfect pre-workout, because here's the perfect dosage?
Sure.
Like, because once it's perfect, how do you make it better? But that's where I think brand comes into play.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no best and there's no perfect because, every, products affect people differently. And frankly, you might even require something different on a different day, depending on how you're feeling or whatever. But with that being said, I think you're 100% right that, at this point in time, in an age of full transparency, full label transparency, a good formula gets you a seat at the table. But if that's really your point of difference, then you've got no chance of success because, again, your formula's on the side of your package, so anybody can go and rip that off tomorrow, right? So that can't
Easier said than done.
That can't be, but that can't be the one thing. That can't be the thing you hang your hat on, right? As far as like our formulation, like kind of philosophy, I mean, I call it the search and the sizzle. There's ingredients that people look for in every pre-workout.
Has to have this.
Like, it has to have this. But then the sizzle is like, okay, well, what can we do differently? Yeah, a lot of times people do all have access to the same ingredients. Sometimes by working closely with research teams or ingredient teams, like we can get early access, negotiate a first to market, sometimes negotiate an exclusive. But at the end of the day, yeah, that stuff's great for the small percentage of people that actually care about that stuff.
Yeah.
Most people care about the experience, the total package, and the brand. So
100%.
yeah, we do that. But really, it's really the total like kind of net of everything we do that I think makes Ghost.
Well, to be honest,
I think even like to simplify, like there is no one element of the Ghost brand or product that is more important than the next. And I think we're the first brand to put them all together. I think you've got great brand, great label, great colors, right? Great formula, full transparency,
great athletes,
Max's face,
great content, great influencers, right?
Yeah.
I think all of it together is what makes Ghost.
well,
We check every box.
I so much agree because, and I just have a different philosophy on marketing and whatever and brand building. But I look at some people that will like, I think you guys truly are like the full package. Like I know you're like diehard.
Is that another ingredient boner joke?
Yes. Like, I know you're diehard nerd on the ingredients, which is good, that's why anyone who would ever like dispute something, I think I've like texted you multiple times, like, hey, like someone says something about this ingredient, like why is this in there or what's your reasoning? Daniel sent me a fucking 6 paragraphs of his reasoning of why it's in there. So it's like he knows what's going in. You guys have the full package, and a lot of people will be like, well, this brand, like, yeah, they lack in all these other industries, but these other areas, but you know, they don't worry about the branding because they focus on the product. I'm like, you can do everything. Like you can have a great product,
Absolutely.
and be an insanely cool brand. And I
The
think
incremental cost is so small.
I know.
Like the incremental cost of good design versus bad design. I mean, it's not. It's pennies, frankly, in the long run. So I think it's just the willingness to invest, the willingness to play the long game, and just I don't know. Like, I mean, this guy's got a phenomenal eye, and even beyond, he's built an amazing art team around him. Where like it's I don't know that when we get flack for like, oh, their packaging's great, so the product's got to be not really up to snuff. Well, it's stupid because if anything, I'll tell you this: I feel and we feel triple the pressure I think to deliver on the formula because of how much fun we have on the front of the label and the collab. And if anything, like the pressure's on us more than anybody because we know we're making it look good or have the flavors or have these things.
To be honest, my brother, who he's coming in like a week, I wish you guys would be here, but so he's like pretty diehard in his ingredients, especially in like greens, we'll call it, like just like the health category of supplementation use, right? And so sometimes he'll come into town and he'd be like, oh, I wish I brought my greens. I'm like, hey, I have some Ghost Greens. And he doesn't know the brand as well as, as he should. And I'm like, oh, I have some Ghost Greens. And I think he has the image that it's more brand driven, like it's his hype. And he grabs it and he gets boners as well, just like you. And he like grabs the greens, looks at it and he's like, oh shit. I'm like, oh wow. Like, oh, they have like, oh, it has the reds. And like, so I know everything is like backed up, and I think that's so cool that you guys were like just a brand that brings that full package. But enough with the boring ingredient stuff, dude. Why don't we tell the people how we met? How do we go from you want to start a supplement company? Hey, we're about to launch it. Last minute.
Yeah, last minute ad.
Last minute, your boy gets added, and now I'm on a can.
Last minute, but it'd be day one, right?
Y'all were like hiking in the mountains when we had our first interaction, right? You were filming a promo with Christian, and at the time,
I think it was just Nikki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like both of them.
Wait, so hold on, go back a little bit. So
yeah, sure.
You're about to launch the brand. You had a couple athletes.
Well, if we even go back even further than that, I think that, and again, this has become a big mantra of Ghost. I say it all the time, who you go to battle with is everything. And you're going to start a company. Obviously, you want to do it with people that, you know and you love and trust and, want to go to battle with every day. And I think one of the coolest parts about Ghost from the initial launch was like, it was a team of like, frankly, friends.
Yeah.
That finally had the opportunity to work together, starting with us, but then even like, Christian or like Raymond, Carito, the online coach, Stafford brothers, like Brooke, even like Nikki Blackadder knew her for years. So like it was a team of people, like we all knew each other and we're just excited to finally have like the stars align and be able to go to work together.
And like all of them, because they worked with Cellucor, you worked with Cellucor. So it's like not only the reason I think people were so excited back then was like, hey, I can get in on the ground floor of this new thing that everyone, hopefully it did turn out to be really big, but it could be the big thing. I want to be on the ground floor. So you had your original team athletes and continue.
And part of that was saying like, hey, like, is anyone else like, do you have any other recommendations? Any like anyone that you're friends with or people you see like, creating great content that you think would be a fit for the brand? And your name came out of everybody's mouth.
Woo!
Yeah, and I was like,
this guy can deadlift cars.
And so like they're showing me a picture. This guy can deadlift the moon, and I'm
no way.
I'm like, what? No way.
Well, to be honest, I think with gravity, the moon actually wouldn't be that heavy. But anyway,
okay.
I don't know.
The ingredient.
I don't know if it's.
I'm gonna stick to ingredients and not physics.
I think the moon's just floating up there. Yeah. It can't be that heavy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you posted. This is back in my Snapchat days. I don't have Snapchat. Once I got like my second dick Snapchat, gone, deleted it.
That's what's kept me on the app.
Please be a dick. So y'all, I think either I responded to one of your snaps. How did that work? Our relationship started on Snapchat.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think we snapped you or sent you a message. Again, because we were just like talking, like we're about getting ready to launch, and they're like, "Yeah, did you ever reach out to Max?" We're like, "Oh man, we forgot. Like, let's hit him up." And then, again, back to the stars aligning and like, holy shit, like great vibes with the team and the fam. I mean, boom, here we are.
The day that when I got that Snapchat and it said like, "Go snap."
I want to know the exact time and place. Like, where were you when you got that life changing snap?
I was in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia. I think I was probably just cruising in my SRT. Just flying past Lamborghinis and everything. And when I got that, I think it was Ghost Snap style, style, right?
Was, yeah.
When I got that thing, I was like, oh my God. You know how you get ingredient boners? I got an actual boner, okay? And I opened it up, and then it was you know.
It was a dick.
And it was a dick. But you guys were like, hey, you know, would love to connect, like, you know, seen your stuff, been recommended, would love to connect. And that, and y'all were launching in a couple weeks, like less than a month. It was like soon, because I was in Houston a couple weeks later, and we met for the first time. And I'm going to put a photo on the screen of, it's us, you two, me, and Christian. And looking at the conditioning that I'm in right there, I don't know what. I think anyone who in your previous jobs who probably doubted you guys of starting a supplement company and then saw one of the athletes being me, they're like, good luck, Dan and Ryan.
Yeah, but I mean, your deadlift was probably better then.
Yeah, yes, it was better then. Thanks for reminding me.
Inspirational stuff.
From the very outset, though, you are honestly have always been like the.
No, hype me up. Why did you choose me? Why did you choose me?
You were one of the best content producers I've ever seen.
You literally epitomize Ghost. Like, you create great content. You put a lot of time, effort, energy. You're funny as shit, and you know it's you know, to your own admission, and your looks can be deceiving.
You're also wildly authentic.
Yeah, massive deadlift, but you are who you are. And honestly, at that time too, you were doing a lot of this. You had like your side style channel. I don't remember what it's called, but you're doing like the fashion stuff.
Yep.
Like, that's Ghost in a nutshell.
I hated that channel.
It's not the idea that you have to look a certain way, to lift a certain way, and eat, sleep, supplement a certain way. Like, we wanted to call all that out as bullshit, and you fit all of those things. And it's been awesome, obviously, over the years, to become close friends and to work together and to see everything that you've built. It's awesome.
You guys were just like, look, we want to show you that even if you don't look like you lift, have a terrible physique, you can still be a part of something great. And you needed someone like that on the team.
We actually did not have that conversation once. We were more just like, we like this guy.
Yeah.
He produces great content.
Some people get mad at my self-deprecating humor, like that I've just throughout the years, and they're like, it's actually
okay.
I think I do look like shit. I hate myself.
Join the club, man. I think we've all had those moments.
So we're on the team, brand's growing, and now you guys are known for being the cool brand, and I've experienced this throughout the many years, going out, having a good time, coming to the office, seeing the culture and the vibe that you guys have built. And something great that I had a conversation with Ryan last time I was in Chicago, Tri-City, was him saying like, hey, every single person in this office, I have like gone to lunch or dinner with them and sat down and talked with them, and that was something super eye-opening, just that culture and that vibe that you've built. And like, that's something that it's like an above and beyond thing. It wasn't just, I had a conversation, like, no, like, I'm gonna go dinner, I'm gonna have like some one-on-one time with this person and really build that out. Do you think that, and this is another, I'm in that same conversation, you were talking about how like, hey, happy hour on a Monday, we're having some drinks and we're going to go out after, right? You kind of talked about like, as the brand grows, as you get bigger, as you have to have more structure, because it's unfortunate, the bigger your company gets, you get away from your corporate world to try to build something cool. It somehow eventually goes back into this corporate world. It's like,
quite funny.
You build a company so you can have your freedom back, and then the new company takes more of your time than normal. But you said like, there's going to be a point where like, we may not be able to do all of these really, really, wild things we're doing in the office, and we want to make sure we capture them while we can. Do you ever worry that as the brand gets bigger and bigger, you're going to lose any of that internal cool culture?
No, you have to embrace change, but it's our primary responsibility, and it's responsibility of any brand owner trying to scale a business. You have to admit and understand, like, maybe we can't go to lunch with everybody, but we need to, build an amazing team around us of great people who can continue to deliver that experience even to anybody joining the team or family anywhere along the journey. Yeah, the culture grows up and changes just like we are. I mean, a company's a living, breathing thing just like you and I.
I don't want to grow up, ever.
I mean, me either. I'm a Toys R Us kid. but like,
you went bankrupt too?
Listening to your stock advice almost. But like, look, like I think like that's the realization, is that you have to embrace the change, but it doesn't have to get worse, or that experience doesn't have to like, degrade. It's more like you need to figure out ways to expand and build on it. And part of that is building a team around you who can help do some of those things.
Yeah. I think we're incredibly passionate about the business that we've built. And I think we had a lot of day one goals. One of the day one goals that we said time and time again was we wanted to challenge how big we can make this while still staying true to everything that we first started this and doing. And I think, you fast forward, and we actually got asked this question recently on a different podcast, but specifically like, what's the next 5 years look like? And for me personally, it's the same thing, right? Like I want to continue to see how big we can grow this thing while still staying true to everything that we set out to do from day one, and keep that culture and keep that vibe, and an emphasis on great product, great brand, also an emphasis on people and culture.
Yeah.
And, I really do think that, that time and energy we put in is going to pay us back, because those people are now going to be able to help us continue to grow that culture internally.
And I think people who want to work in a startup or something like that, they love that culture of they have a lot more freedoms and relaxed work environments that they would anywhere else. They have a lot of more perks with the business, while working there. It's they enjoy coming to the office. Yeah, there's times where like shit's got to get done, and it's probably maybe some mundane, boring work. But for the most part, they're like, I love coming to the office every day because I wouldn't want to work anywhere else. How do y'all kind of like establish of a startup? You want to be like that cool brand, but you also maybe ask a lot from the employees that work for you guys. For example, I just had a podcast with Mona, and I discussed with her about how, hey, when, there's times where my employees that like in the evening, I might need something from them. I might text them and be like, hey, I need you to send me this email. I need you to do something. And some people like kind of lost their minds of, if my employer ever asked me to answer an email or a text after hours, like I better be getting paid overtime.
But my guess is that's because they're inherently unhappy with
that's
their
what I'm
day-to-day
saying. I was like,
activities.
people were almost actually acting as if I'm like, Mona, I need you to like at 8:00 come in for 5 hours that night. Really, I'm just like, hey, I need you to pull this email up or respond to this email real fast. And it's interesting seeing people's kind of like ideologies focus on, like I can tell people who have not worked in a startup or not own their own business, but
I think it's also big. I think it's bigger than the startup conversation too. I think it's really any company. I think it's about, the most humbling thing, the most proud moment, I think for me and Ryan is when, our team, I actually don't use the word employees, our team, when they like talk about Ghost and they use the word our company, our brand, not like yours or it's Dan and Ryan's. No, it's ours. It's all of ours. I think that's really important. And if you kind of create that type of passion and shared like affinity for the brand and the mission and the objective, no one gives a shit if you have to answer an email or attend to something after hours. Ghost is in 55 countries around the world. That means that people supporting our Australian partners, guess what? If you are in Central Time, you probably are answering some emails or text messages or whatever it is after 5, 6 p.m. So I think like it starts with like, let's lay some parameters and expectations, but ultimately it's about creating that kind of connection to the shared objectives and goals of the brand. But all of this whole conversation centers around people. And just like we can talk about ingredients and how it's nuanced and how only 1% of customers really appreciate or care about any of that, the big differentiator, in my opinion, between brands or companies, good and bad, comes down to the people.
Yeah.
And, that has to start with the owners, right? You set that tone, you set that culture, and then you do everything you freaking can to build a family and team around you of people who understand and get that.
Yeah. People who get it. People who don't. And so after you've built this amazing lifestyle brand and company and supplements and transparent labels and ingredient boners and stuff, you moved into the energy drinks, which, let's see, it looks like you, if I'm correct, you announced it on Instagram in May of 2020, and it looks like it rolled out in August of 2020. Is that like accurate timeline?
Yeah, ish, yeah.
And would it be safe to say that the energy is the, how do I say this?
The most successful product we've ever launched.
Yes, but like, do you think when you launched energy, it would be what it is to, like, everyone wants it to be big?
Not. Of course not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we
Energy is just taken over.
Forget energy, Ghost in general. Like, we never sat down and were like, we're going to build this massive company. We were like, let's have some fun and see how big we can build this,
I think everyone's like, I want it to be that, but when it gets even closer on that trajectory, you're like, what the fuck? It's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's a weird experience.
So was energy, first of all, was it, kind of a quick answer, was it always in the cards, like when you launched, or was it years down the road?
Not when we launched, but we were talking about it.
So in it was like late 2018, we were kind of sitting down, with one of our board members, advisors, and was talking about like, the next, like where we wanted to kind of go with the brand. And honestly, we were looking at a couple things. Number one, basket data from our biggest retail partner, GNC. Energy drinks was the number one non-Ghost item purchased with Ghost. Okay. That's one data point. Yeah, the other data,
that basket data showing of when someone buys Ghost, what else is in their basket.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like looking internally at our team, inclusive of you, Christian, et cetera, everyone's drinking energy drinks. This is even before he launched 3D. Just everyone's drinking, like this is the White Monster chapter or whatever it was. So like there's obviously a big kind of like common denominator, just like kind of shared interest between energy drinks and supplements and just like our community. So okay, maybe we can develop an interesting energy drink. Maybe we can differentiate, right? So start with the formula like we talked about. The second, I think, component was like, well, I wonder if any other flavor partnerships would be on board or retailers on board for it. Because at that time, it seemed like everybody was kind of trying to come out with energy drinks. So it was kind of like a little bit of like a weird subject.
Well, now it's one of those things that every supplement company has an energy drink now, which it wasn't the case. It wasn't when you guys launched it.
That's the Bang's credit. Well, I mean, Bang before us, frankly.
Okay.
Like, so Bang, Bang kind of opened the floodgates, and then there was a couple people who tried to follow.
They did supplement. I can't even remember.
They've been in for 20 years.
What?
Yeah.
I know Shotgun.
VPX. Yeah, Shotgun.
VPX. That's how I found Mona came into my gym because she was a Bang girl for VPX and came to our gym and gave us ready to drink proteins. I forget that Bang owns VPX.
I have no problem admitting it. The first pre-workout I ever took was, Shotgun VPX ever.
Okay.
And yeah, like we kind of like, it was a sum of all these things that kind of was like, this could be cool for us. This could be big for us. As far as like, did we think it would be as big as it was? I mean, I think like we're humble guys. And I think, maybe you've gone through this as an entrepreneur too. Like, anytime you launch something, new, you always are like a little nervous of how it's going to do. It's like sending your child to school on the first day kind of vibe, like, or I'd assume it would be. So we never thought that, but I will say size of category, like beverage is just a way bigger industry than sports nutrition. I
think, with anything pre and even protein, people are consuming it for the most part on a daily basis, right? But it's still, it's a quick, I'm making it up, but something about just grabbing it and going is this kind of, it just makes sense. And it makes sense that people pre-workout, you like caffeine, you like energy, makes sense going into the energy category. Some questions I have about this, because this is just in knowledge that I want to know. Why, there's two versions. You have the 16 and you have the 12 ounce. Red Bull's probably predominantly known for that smaller can. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of the 16. Some people want less. I want more, right? Why did you decide to go with the 16 versus the 12?
I think it more aligned with kind of where we wanted to go as a brand. It's interesting. I think the 12 ounces out today, like the leaders of that, like let's take Red Bull, like just Red Bull out of the conversation because Red Bull's its own animal. But the other like 12 ounce cans that are dominating the marketplace,
Celsius.
That's like Celsius, Alani, right? Yeah. I mean, they're predominantly female focused brands, and I think that it's more pointed towards that customer. Where I think from a performance perspective, you're used to the Bangs, the Monsters, the Rockstars. That are all in that 16 ounce package.
Say female focused, like maybe girls wouldn't want as much liquid, or like
I don't know. Performance energy. Yeah, Dan mentioned performance energy before as like a subcategory of energy, and like all of those players are in 16 ounce cans.
Yeah, so, with the exception of Celsius and Alani, they're kind of more of that. Red Bull actually has like 3-4 different sizes of cans, so that's its own,
I'm just always wondering, because kind of the follow up to that is, what's your strategy on? Okay, so a lot of people, whenever someone comes out with a new product, a lot of people who maybe don't understand the ins and outs of business will attack, let's call it a price point. Not that yours is any sort of like out of the ordinary, but people always like to compare prices to whatever. Mm-hmm. And I've always stated that some advice I got forever ago is like, price differentiation is not the best business strategy, right? Just being the cheapest is not the best strategy because you're going to run yourself out of business. Why is it that a lot of companies can sell a less liquid, a 12 ounce for the same or more as a 16 ounce and kind of get away with it? No one loses their minds. Like, what was your strategy of like, do we go in, do we be a cheaper than the 12 ounces because you're getting, you know, to be like the cheaper brand, or you're getting more liquid? Like, how do you decide on what price to sell it to the people?
I think the way we've always looked at price, and you hit the nail on the head, you cannot compete on price as a primary strategy, especially in energy drinks. Because the scariest part about launching energy drink, frankly, is we're not playing against sports nutrition brands anymore. You're playing against multi-billion-dollar behemoths like Red Bull and Monster. And guess what? If those guys want to compete on price, they will be able to outspend us to the death.
Yeah.
Right? All day, every day. Red Bull can give away cans for free, frankly, if that's what we wanted to do, versus it's not about price at all for us. We've always aimed to say, hey, we're going to price our product kind of parity with the market. So like kind of in line where everybody else is. If anything, maybe kind of on the upper end of the medium, you know, not the cheapest, but you know, not the most expensive price out either. But we want to deliver max value for that price point.
So a lot of people go with I want to be accessible to everyone. I want to be on the premium end of people who I bet people are willing to spend the extra 30, 50 cents for mine. Like, as a business owner, how do you get to that point? Because just to compare it, for example, a lot of people when I launched Sour Strips lost their minds when the price came out that it was going to be a little over $3, because everyone would compare, like you said, the behemoths, right? They'd be like, I can get $1 bag of gummy worms, gummy bears, you know, or for $1 for more candy. And I'd be like, I understand that. I can't compete on price. And my mindset was not only so I could have enough money to build the business, I was like, I bet the consumer myself, like I would be willing to pay an extra $1 for this product as just a consumer, take myself out of it. Like I know I would, and I bet other people would as well. So I went with the premium route for the candy. I also needed to, because I would be shit out of luck on cash if I didn't. What was your angle on this? Well, you're just like, I'm going to go right in the middle, or you didn't even kind of go for like a premium?
Well, look,
because you're fairly priced. I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah, look, as you well know, in these real world categories of like candy and energy drinks and just like kind of like mainstream CPG, all the data is out there. Yeah. IRI data, SPINS data, like these are syndicated data. As you can see, not only your sales, you can see everybody else's sales in what's called track channels. That's like pretty much every major grocery store, convenience store chain, Target, Walmart, you name it. All that data is actually public or available for sale.
By the way, what he said, the SPINS IRI, everyone listening, when I say skew the data, that's the data that we're skewing. Okay. Yep. That's literally, that's the data, because he's talking.
And it's genius. And it's well,
just to condense,
it makes me laugh every time you do it.
I'm going to say it in like kind of a super broad view, but like IRI SPINS is essentially like every other company, like they can see Ghost on their category of like other competitors in the space. So it's like they can see Ghost is growing. So when I'm saying skew the data, by the way, guys, that's so that these big other companies are like, who the fuck is Sour Strips?
And not even just that, but like even other retailers that you're trying to work with, like you reference the data a lot of times to tell a story to get in. So the data is really important. But with that being said, there's so much data out there to say, hey, like this is where we want to be from a price perspective. Mm-hmm. This is the range of pricing in these stores. And like even so, like we don't even have like a set retail price for Ghost Energy, because sometimes the retailer dictates it, but there's a range. Like that range when we launched was like $279 and $299, I think, for a can on a single can basis in convenience stores. I think now you're seeing, you know, unfortunately with like things like inflation, it's kind of like a $289, $299, to maybe like $319. So now it's crossing the $3 mark. But still, like we wanted to be right in the middle of the pack, and we wanted to deliver max value for that $1. And that's kind of, that's really how we've dictated, I think, our pricing strategy really to date across all of our
y'all
products.
could have like you could have.
Yeah, with your faces could go for $5 a can. I agree.
Absolutely, but from a business aspect, you could probably have come out with the same price point, 12-ounce can, and you would technically be like, you have to make less liquid, like you have to make less product, be making more money, but you like went with this. That's just something I've always wondered.
I haven't priced out the 12-ounce can. However, I think that assuming the formula, like the active ingredients, are all equal, I actually think like the cost differential for that is minor, because the major drivers of cost here are going to be your formula, your flavors. For us, it's the sleeve, like the premium texture, like sleeve, like that's a major cost driver. It would make you sick if you know how much we spend on that versus the others.
So if you ever feel these cans and you feel a little raised, they pay for that.
Yeah.
A lot.
And one more. These are I feel like questions that some people just have about energy drinks. This is what I have. So I have two more that I want to ask. Why 200 milligrams of caffeine? Is that just because it's the standard? Some people are more, like your bangs.
I think we talked to a lot of people. I think we talked to a lot of our team, like, you, internal team, energy drinkers in general, like, where do we want to be? And there's two big major decision points on the like kind of caffeine here.
Yeah.
Synthetic or natural. And we went with natural because we think it's smoother. It's more like drinking like coffee. It does come from coffee in our product versus I think some of the other products that are synthetic caffeine anhydrous, it's a little bit sharper. It doesn't make you feel great. Maybe a little bit of a crash.
Yeah.
But then the 200 level, that was purposeful again, after talking to a lot of different people, kind of, polling and getting some survey results, if you will, from everyone we have access to, and realizing that it was a level that most people feel good on. And maybe importantly, if somebody does have two in a day, like it's safe.
I have two.
It's important that it's safe, but also people aren't going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have, two of the leading product of 300 milligrams of synthetic caffeine, I don't even feel good after one, never mind two of those things.
Yeah.
People also I think they gravitate towards caffeine at like 2 times a day. It's like right when they wake up in the morning and then like afternoon kind of, pick me up.
That's how I feel. How do you know my body, man?
Yeah, I know you. So I think for us, this is a direct replacement of like, your cup of coffee.
And I'm assuming the data's out there that, as weird as it would sound, a caffeine-free energy drink, just subset of a subset, not worth it ever. Because I would chug 4 of these a day at nighttime if they were like these flavors of caffeine-free.
Yeah, look, maybe we get there.
Yeah.
I think, as you've probably found with sour strips, there's never really a shortage of good ideas, but you do have to kind of prioritize.
Yeah.
And, you got to kind of take care of the low-hanging fruit first and then kind of go from there. It's the same question on like, you're talking about like pricing out of the gate. Like, yeah, like, ultimately maybe we can launch value packs or bring the price down with scale. But out of the gate, like these things are expensive, when I'm like, hey, I'm trying to buy, this little bit of cans and, Red Bull's buying 1 billion cans. Like my pricing is, and people want to hold you to that standard.
Yeah.
I totally get it as a consumer, but as a business owner, that's tough. So you got to balance that stuff. And I think that's something that you've done well, something that we've tried to do is just be transparent, be accessible, tell the story, include people in the story. At least people are getting an insight into why we're doing what we're doing. Even if they don't like it, you don't have that transparency into some of the big boys.
Well, since energy is essentially taken over, I mean, it's crushing it. A lot of it was with, your huge distribution partnership with AB, Anheuser-Busch, and getting into all those doors, right? How do you guys explain kind of the whole licensing kind of aspect? Because obviously with the powders, you started with the Warhead, that crushed it, that could maybe prove the model. Then you were able to coerce, Mondelez to like maybe try it out and then expand the line as you went. Specifically with, let's take energy drinks, for example. Why do you think the success of licensed stuff like does so well? Because to be honest, like, let's not even take a company you've like worked with, but let's say you're making a gummy bear flavor, right? You could partner with whatever manufacturer of a gummy bear for it to be X Ghost gummy bear and have that flavor. But in theory, or not in theory, in actuality, you could not have that company's name, make the exact same flavor, but it may not do as well without that licensed name on there. So the strategy of partnering with these companies to have that, maybe there is some insight of they do help on the formulation of some part, but in my mind, you could probably get to a lot of these flavors without actually being a license, but you go the license route because it creates that brand recognition. What's that strategy of getting these licenses versus just only focusing on building it out? Because now the whole world's going licensed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's relatability, there's trust, like
nostalgia, which is
right. So there's all of these things that obviously enhance like your reasoning to pick up a product and give it, especially like for us, Ghost has been around since 2016. We launched the energy drink in 2020. Like there's a lot of people that had no idea who Ghost was.
Yeah.
Right. And when they saw us in a grocery store or a convenience store and they see Ghost, like cool packaging, and then they see Sour Patch Kids, a brand they know and love and trust and have probably consumed their whole life, they pick it up and they give it a shot. And then the product delivers on efficacy, on taste, on all these things.
And it tastes like that.
Right?
And it's probably a better than, it not to like, I don't know any of the companies that do this, but like if y'all came out with like blue raspberry sour kiddos, you know, of like whatever.
Well, that, I mean, like
whatever
that
loophole.
That goes back to authenticity, though,
Yeah,
right? Like,
but
if
like
we were
the-
going to do it, we were going to do it with the guys or you know, the right brands, right? That we ultimately enjoyed growing up, right? That, you know, you talk about like a berry flavored or sour candy flavored product. It's Sour Patch Kids for us, right? So, you know, we hit them up. I mean, it wasn't that easy, right? Like it took about 2.5 years to get a meeting and another year after that to ultimately launch a product.
You just Google like info at sourpatch.com.
Yeah, we
guys.
we tried all
tried
those
a lot of
things.
different things.
Yeah, and like, look, I think if we just back it up before that, when we were launching the powders, you know, and where the licensing thing started, like you go into GNC and everyone was like, oh, what does it taste like? Does it taste good? Not. It was, you know, the industry was very fruit punch or, you know, watermelon this or chocolate that, but why don't we take the ball out of the store associate's hands? Don't take my word for it, but if it's got an official logo of like Warheads on it, that answers the question about what it tastes
Yeah,
like.
because people would say it tastes like this,
right,
without it, if it didn't have the label on
and
there.
the marketplace at that point in time was filled with Sour Batch Bros and Sour Heads and Skittles with D's instead of T's. It was pathetic. And it's funny because like obviously licensing has been a major win for us, as a huge differentiator, a driver of trial for us all these years. Obviously it's been a major trend that's caught on. You see everybody and their brother trying to do it now. What I still don't know how to explain is how a little brand like Ghost came along and was the first. Because I think it's obvious. I don't think we were that smart, but how we were the only people to pick up the phone, you know, at that point in time to kind of try to make this happen. You know, proud of it. We're humbled by it, and it will never cease to amaze me that somehow we got the honor of being the first to do this.
Maybe it wasn't because we picked up the phone first, to be honest. Maybe it was just the fact.
Well, y'all
that
probably
we
the first to
didn't
like
take no.
to like really take it with it, right? So there one of the early adopters of a licensed flavor was someone did something with like a Cold Stone, right? Cold Stone ice cream, and that was like
Actually, BSN.
Was it?
Yeah.
So they're like one of the early adopters of the licensing thing, but you guys took it, ran with it.
Which to me, Cold Stone isn't even a great license because when you go to Cold Stone, you make Max's flavor.
Now you're never going to get a Cold Stone license.
That's
right
fine. That, honest, it's like, look, a lot of licenses have crossed our desks. Like, hey, do you want to? And we've said no. Now we say no more than we say yes.
If you came to Cold Stone, you wanted Max's own cream, like that's going to be a specific flavor.
Okay.
That sounded like another podcast, but yeah, but look, I mean, that's the thing. Like Cold Stone, you gotta go. You make your own flavor mix-ins. Like you want,
I guess
like
that's not really a flavor.
You
That's
want
not-
flagship, like identifiable, iconic
never
flavors.
thought of that, yeah.
Like so, Warhead Sour Watermelon. You know exactly what that is. You know, Sour Patch Kids, Red Berry. You know what that is. Swedish Fish. You know what that is.
For the people listening now, I've heard all about it, but how would you describe like the idea of like, hey, you know, whatever company, you know, we'd love to, you know, work with you on a flavor, nail something it tastes exactly like your product. We want to put, you know, your logos. It'll be great for everyone. It's going to be a win-win. Your brand recognition. You know, you're going to make, you know, licensing fees, money for whatever. Is there a large headache in the like, okay, we want to launch this, but we have to go through 8 million levels of approval because these companies are so big?
Yes.
Yeah, I will say, like, if more specifically, it depends on the brand, number one. And it depends on sometimes even the flavor, like how complex it is. Like Swedish Fish, you know, I've been on the record, it's my favorite flavor of anything we make, frankly. And that being a very complex flavor system with like, you know, Reddit's out there.
What
about
is Swedish Fish even?
Exactly.
What is that supposed
I
to
can't
taste
tell
like?
you. I had to sign my life away. I can't tell you everything that goes into it. But that's kind of the point where the authenticity comes into it. But like, yeah, like it's an interesting, the whole licensing phenomenon is interesting because I've seen like other brands that are doing it now talk about it. We spent millions of dollars. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
I know how this works, right? Sometimes there's a little bit of a down payment. It's, you know, a couple $1,000 maybe. You pay a royalty as a % of sales. So if the product's successful, you owe money, sure. But it's a win-win for everybody.
Do you think that think that everyone is riding the train? So a lot like licensing flavors, do you think that the bad route to go down is that all of your stuff needs to be licensed now?
You can't do that.
You can't do that. I mean, if you look very carefully at Ghost, like we're about, in energy drinks, we're about 50-50.
Yeah.
And we're very proud, maybe even more proud, that the Ghost flavors are performing just as well in many cases as the licensed flavors. So I think like if you have no idea who Ghost is, and we just show up one day at your local Kroger, H-E-B, whatever it is, and you see this like, you know, stack of cases, hopefully, take Ghost off the can, see a Sour Patch Kids logo, hell yeah, If I like Sour Patch Kids, I'm going to try Sour Patch Kids in a can, regardless of who the hell Ghost is. If I have a good experience, and the data shows we've got amazing repurchase rates, so thank you everyone out there for all the support. It's awesome. But you go back, and maybe you're going to go back for the citrus, for the mango, for the orange cream, a Ghost flavor, and then that's kind of how the brand can grow.
Yeah.
So even for where we're going to go from an energy perspective, it's going to be a combo of licensing versus non. And if anything now, as I was saying, we're very picky about who we're going to license, or collab with going forward.
Well, I think that you guys are nailing the collabs you're doing, because now I've seen the trend of now every company's, who can they get to be the licensed thing, and they're getting the stuff that I'm not going to not even name the licensing flavors or whatever.
Look, I'll say it for you. Some of these some of these brands that are now collabing in energy drinks or pre-workout, I didn't even like them in their original form.
I know, that's exactly.
They didn't even deserve. They don't deserve a second life in this industry. But frankly, that's the only brands that those brands can get. So we'll see how this plays out long term in the marketplace. I think, like I said, we're very humbled that this trend of licensing is something that Ghost started. I don't think we ever realized or set out it would be as big of or major a trend as it was. But yeah, it is laughable, some of the stuff that you're seeing. Like man, I threw that out when I was 13 years old.
Yeah,
the fact that it's now getting a second.
I think a lot of them are getting like the brands that Ghost doesn't want to work with anyway, or type.
You dump your Halloween bag out. You're just like,
I can prove it. Look, I can post the emails. We can prove it. Almost every brand that you're seeing come out now with a license,
hit up Ghost.
We said no to.
Damn.
But also it makes sense, because like when we're major partners of Warheads and Mondelez and Sour Patch Kids and Oreo chips, like we're not going to say yes to some of these C level or D level candies or cookies. Not happening. So.
Right, and it's interesting seeing a lot of these.
There's only one more candy I want to work with, frankly.
That's what the people need. I'll tell you one thing: if ever goes
so if
down,
Haribo hits us up, no.
Get the fuck out, dude. I'll tell you one thing. Just the last note on that, though. If the paths ever do cross, it'll be the easiest licensing. It'll be the easiest approvals you've ever seen in your entire life.
I appreciate that.
But can you imagine if Max just hit you? I would like a lot, because like some of these, especially
what grain is that?
Especially the entertainment license, like the Space Jams and like the Turtles of the world, like that Warner Brothers, like they have like a portal, and I get it. They probably have a lot of licensed partners. They need to keep things organized. We get it. And I'm also speaking about this because I don't actually access the portal. He does. I know he'll just get angry, but like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I think more than the dollars, it's actually the time and energy
for sure
to make these things right and do them and make them real. But it's been a labor of love. It's been so much fun and such a treat to work with, these brands that frankly, like when we were kids, we looked up to.
Yeah.
The fact that we're now in this position, to me again, is humbling and mind blowing.
No, I think it's insane. And two more kind of topics I want to kind of discuss in this pod. Or one quick one is, so with the trend of a lot of brands copying the steves that is of Ghost of doing everything that you do, I also noticed just everyone and their mother is starting a supplement company, right? And I think to be honest, I personally think it plays into the new wave of like TikTok. I think people are creating supplements, not trying to create a brand, right? And they're coming out with these, killer clown semen blood flavors that are with 800 milligrams of caffeine that are just like, they're marketing to this quick buck. And I guess, what's your opinion on people trying to create products for money and create a brand, and what the difference is? And yeah.
I will say this. First off,
it's a sick flavor name, by the way.
First off?
No, Psycho Clown Semen Blood.
Historically speaking, we have really not paid attention to what anybody else is doing. And I think if anybody out there is thinking about starting a brand, like the best advice I could give is put 50% of the time and energy that you spend looking at what everyone else is doing into your own brand, and you will be massively much more successful, right? Like, stay focused on what you're doing. If you've got a great idea, if you're passionate about it, if you make the jump and you're going to start a brand, like, focus on you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. And like for us, I mean, I will say this, because we play in the same space, we're sensitive to, somebody just picking up, a product tomorrow and saying, hey, I'm starting this great new brand, because like, look, these are ingestible products, right? Yeah. You can seriously hurt somebody.
Here's 800 milligrams of caffeine.
This is the thing that I harp on the most, is that sometimes social media makes things look easy, right? And it kind of lowers the sense of responsibility or duty that comes with making, as Ryan said, an ingestible product. People, like, you can hurt people. Anytime you make something that people are going to put in their body, you can hurt people. It's not the same thing as making a t-shirt or a pair of pants or whatever, where it's not like you're not going to kill anybody. So I think that it's an unfortunate cultural phenomenon now that people have this confidence. Like, I'm going to go make a pre-workout. And you start to ask questions. Well, okay, well, what happens if someone takes a product and doesn't feel well? What if there's an adverse event? What do you know about like the CFRs or this regulatory? And they have no idea, but they've somehow been convinced or maybe empowered by social media, or sometimes it's like the manufacturer's fault now. And manufacturers are like running ads.
We'll make it for anyone.
Make it for you, but it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Especially when stuff goes wrong, it's not that simple. So when I get, like, probably the number one DM I get, it's like people asking for advice.
Besides from Ryan's mom.
Yeah, right. No, she texts me now. I told her I don't answer DMs now. But I get a question a lot, right? Like, do you have any advice starting a supplement brand? And people
every time someone asks that question, I'm like,
but same with candy. But here's the thing: people get offended by my answer. So go work for one.
Yeah.
Go learn the industry, learn the ins and the outs, the do's and the don'ts. Learn what you like, what you don't like, the way you do it versus the way that, like, go figure that stuff out. Like get an education, and then, maybe go and think about launching a product.
To be honest, I think the bittersweet when people ask like these questions is I think it truly separates people. I get all the time. I'm a million times at expos, and it's not like a mean way I'm saying this, but I've got a million things like. First of all, we'll go like YouTube. They'll be like, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube. Like, what do you like? What I'm like,
stop thinking.
Yeah, stop thinking. But then also, I get hit up all the time. Hey, I'm thinking about starting a clothing line. Like, how do you find a manufacturer? I was like, if I go into Google right now and type in bulk fitness clothing, I was like, within 10 minutes, I'm gonna find Alibaba. I was like, the fact that people are like asking such surface level questions, I'm like, I don't think this is because what's the number one thing you're doing as a business owner is like solving problems and figuring out how to like solve. Yeah,
none of us knew what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you can't even solve the problem of figuring out how to even start your business, I was like, maybe this isn't the route. Not to like crush people's dreams.
No, sure.
If you interviewed Max Tuning day one of starting Sour Strips, did you know how to run a candy brand?
Fuck no.
Okay, how'd you figure it out?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. No one at any of the candy companies told me how to do it. I didn't hit them.
Well, the other thing though, if we did interview you day one of starting Sour Strips, the other thing I sometimes return to when I'm getting these questions, like I ask why.
Yeah.
Why do you want to start one? Now you had a great why, right?
Because I love sour candy.
Yeah, we had a great why, but so, like I just would question some of these influencers like that probably aren't even taking something.
They want to make money.
Yeah,
I see the money they're making.
Yeah, so maybe choose something that is a little bit. Less, I don't know.
I agree.
Less ramification, like in putting something in someone's body.
If you're gonna do it though, I mean, stop thinking about it. Start fucking doing shit.
That's right.
Whether it's Google or just like surround yourself with people that know how to do this shit. Like, stop asking questions and start actively working.
Most people that I know that are extremely successful in their field did not ask someone how to start their field. Like you just do.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I will say this: we've been fortunate to have our previous experience, but also we've surrounded ourselves with people that are great at things that we're not.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a key, fundamental business advice thing.
Yeah. I think seeking advice and, seeking a spoon on how to even start anything are like kind of different things.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seeking, advice or encouragement is inherently different than seeking like a playbook or short.
Can you do this for me?
Yeah. It's like if people approach me like, hey man, like, what do you think are the pros and cons of starting? Like, what are some things you wish you did different at the beginning of starting a clothing brand instead of like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a clothing brand. Like, what if I
give me all of your contacts?
Yeah, give me all of it. I'd rather just skip all that bullshit that you learned that like made you who you are today of like, learning and making mistakes. I don't want to skip all that. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about, most important thing, we've gone down the rabbit hole of the licensing flavors. Now you guys have expanded into the athlete collaborative products. Been some huge successes with a lot of different athletes. Women focused products like a lot of the glows. I know you're probably sensitive of like it's not just for women. I take glow. I take it. That's why I'm super beautiful. But you've collabed with a lot of girls on maybe women focused products,
wellness products.
Mm-hmm. Seen great success with that. Greens. I know you've done some stuff. Obviously, with Christian and myself and a lot of other people. Why athlete collabs?
I think it started as just a cool way to engage with you.
I think
and the
again,
fam.
it goes back to authenticity.
It wasn't a business strategy. It wasn't a dollar driven business strategy. It was like, hey, like, again, think about like the sneakers that we all rock, like, you know, they kind of have this athlete, you know, collab or whatever. Like, it'd just be cool to say, hey, Max, like, let's do a product together. Let's have some fun with it. Yours have always been some of my favorite because we do have the most
Pass
fun.
that guy?
Yeah.
And we do, you tell it to every person you do a collab with, you're like, yours is the most fun to make. Yours is the most fun.
I think you're like, they're all different, and that's the purpose, right? We're trying to kind of, I think, show some of like
Max.
you,
Yeah.
right? You know, yeah.
How did my face? Well, everyone just like wants. I think the idea was like the face came on there because like everyone wants a little bit of Max in their mouth. That was the idea behind it.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think I actually don't know where the idea. I think it was just something fun to do. With
I
you.
vividly remember going on Google
Yeah.
and just looking up pictures of Max's
yeah.
face, and
We're sitting in Salt Lake
gold ones.
City. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't really have a plan, so to speak, creatively. It was like we just kind of threw.
What's
stuff
cool
at the board.
about all the collabs you've done with every single person is there's a reason why it's the product that it is, the flavor that it is, and the special ingredients, we'll call them, for whatever specific product.
And creatively, we got some dude on
Yeah,
there.
no, exactly. And I mean, this might be
staring me in the face right now.
This might be. Can we get a close up on this, Oz? This might be the first ever energy drink of all time that has someone's personal dog on it. I don't. Prove me wrong. I don't know.
But that, like, this goes back to why we started the brand. It goes back to really everything we've done. I mean, the initial Ghost size label, I don't know if you remember this, but I actually hid a giant eggplant on there just to like kind of troll Ryan. So when he was doing his final label review, maybe he'd see it.
Yeah, no. Ryan loves eggplants.
But this is the reason you start a brand. Look, you talked about culture. We talked about people today. If you are in the candy business or you are in the sports nutrition, active nutrition, energy, whatever, like, these are supposed to be fun. These are not necessities of life. So they better be fun. They better be innovative. They better be social and shareable. So when we do these collabs, it's never been about like dollars or any of that. It's been like, hey, like, let's do something fun with Max. Let's do something fun with Christian or Kylie or like Rob, you know, the whiskey sour, like just let's just have fun.
And it always makes, so all the flavors that we've done, this is our fourth flavor that we've done.
Yep.
Mango margarita, strawberry daiquiri, sour pink lemonade, and then the Strabango Magajita. And the ingredient that we've put into these, so I'll give you guys like a reasoning behind why we chose these. So originally when we first came out with just mango margarita, it was just the pre-workout. Obviously mango margarita made a lot of sense. I essentially made margaritas popular.
For sure.
For sure. And the ingredient, because, you know, Dan being the ingredient guy was like, you know, hey, like, what do you want special with that? And I'm probably, if I was just like, I don't care, I just want the flavor. But for me, we have the Vasodrive in there, which, what's a quick rundown? I always just call it like a pump additive.
It's additional pump ingredient.
Right.
Yeah, we knew for you, especially because you're just so freaking vascular.
Big vein guy.
Yeah,
Big vein
huge.
guy.
That we wanted to add an additional pump ingredient. And so, you know, I was looking at some, you know, search and sizzle, some sizzle ingredients that maybe weren't super popular or overdone or out there, and seeing what was available and what we can do that was special. And Vasodrive, especially when we first launched it in the V1 Max collab, that it wasn't in almost any products at that point. I'm not going to say, I don't know if we were like the first, but it wasn't out there at all. So it was a cool addition and something that we've like played through everything we've done with you.
Well, I think, what was it? We were originally talking about the Vasodrive. There was some sort of thing like if we put a certain pump ingredient, it was going to change. What was it like?
We tried a different pump ingredient that was derived from like super potent like grape skin and
it had a like weird aftertaste.
It killed the flavor. So again, like, you're always balancing, like with it's always a balance of like, you know, function and flavor and efficacy and innovation. So I think Vasodrive, look, a very well respected pump ingredient. It doesn't impact the flavor at all.
Yeah.
It is a casein derivative, so it does add a milk allergy and non-vegan, you know, kind of, you know, thing to your legends. But it's a great pump ingredient, and it's one that we've continued to use through all your legends.
And Dan and Ryan have given me full kind of creative on a lot of the stuff. Even I think when we came out with one of the later pre's, they were like, hey, you know, we can keep adding the Vasodrive, but if for any reason like you want to, you know, open it up to people who can't have dairy and want it, and they're like, you know, you can take it out, you can leave it in. I decided to keep it. I'm sorry for the people who can't have it. But then we came out with the pump products, which was first with
I think it was the double drop we did with
We brought back
daiquiri and mango. Yeah. So we did 4 wide.
We did the pump because obviously it makes sense. And then this is the first ever athlete collab energy drink. Very exciting stuff. And now the story on do you want to tell the story on how we got to Strabango Margarita? Where were we? Do you remember this? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were we?
Having a nice date at Mastro's.
Yeah. Yep. And I had
lovely.
I had
it was
my
lovely.
first ever gnocchi.
Yeah.
Which is what Fred Durst sings about in that song. I did it all for the gnocchi. What? The gnocchi.
You made the same joke that night.
Yeah.
I've been making the same jokes for like 10 years now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, with everything we've done, it's just inspired by like what's actually going on in the world or in your life. And you've been doing this Strabango.
You're like, what kind of, like, what flavor do you want to do this year? And at first I thought, I was like, okay, margarita would make sense. We've done all the main flavors, right? And I was like, we could do just main regular margarita. I guess that makes sense. And I was like, wait a second. What have I been drinking all the time at the Mexican restaurants? Strabango, which now you guys trademark. So if I ever come out with Strabango sour strips and I get a cease and desist letter, if I get a cease and desist
dinner and Dan goes, I'm going to trademark that.
No, I remember at dinner you were like sending off Strabango to trademark lawyer, and I was like,
just to clear
I was
it.
like, didn't I just make that word for the energy? Just if Strabango sour strips come out, I'm stating it.
You're good. It's fine.
A very small
oral agreement, and there's evidence of it.
I'm gonna get a cease and desist from Ghost, and I'm super excited.
But
about this.
The authenticity is there because when people found out there's a collab coming and you were like hiding the flavor, your fans were guessing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, people understand that this is kind of how, again, we have always been inspired by things that we use and do and love like every day.
Makes sense.
So it makes total sense.
And with the design of everything, so when I was in Tri-City, Chicago, recently, I went over and saw I don't know what version of the draft, but maybe like, the most recent iteration of this design. And I think it originally was just, all orange and red. And I think I had the wizard idea. I was like, can we do the gradient on this? Because when you make the Strabango mix, it has this like variation of color. And, a little comment that I had, made it work. And then originally there's just the big ghost guy that's normally there. And you were like, we can actually put dude's face right on the can.
Gorgeous. Look at that guy.
First ever dog.
It came out, like this label came out really, really cool. It's the first time we've ever done any gradient on anything. This is also like a sandpaper varnish. So I was a little unsure how it was going to.
Sandpaper varnish.
If you feel it, right? Like that's what gives it that texture. Not that I'm stroking the can on camera, but when we went down and actually ran this label and saw it come to life, it was a little nervous to like how the gradient's going to look on more of a matte kind of finish, but it came out sick and actually depicts a Strabango margarita like perfectly. So
no, it really does. And I want to state for the record, I'm obviously very, very anti-salt on the rim of anything, but the reason we have it on there is for the authenticity of the margarita.
And just to piss you off a little bit.
Literally, I get DMs all the time of people send me their pictures of their margaritas like on a daily basis, and because I invented drinking margaritas, and every single time I literally put all caps and I say like no salt clown if I ever see salt on anything.
I will say this, since we're talking about margaritas, I'm a little disappointed we've only done one shot this far.
Well, dude, I gotta go deadlift after this.
Let's do one more shot. You're all about pumps and veins. Let's go.
We'll do it.
I will say this while you're pouring the shots. There's also another big Ghost first with this drop, and it's the first time that we've done anything and brought any of our athlete collabs to retail.
Yeah.
So
because normally you never go full retail.
Right. Well, we've wanted to kind of just keep it on direct to consumer. It sells out, easy to or just easy to manage the inventory of it and the in and out nature of that. Sometimes it's harder when it goes on shelf, but because it's a can and this thing is driven by that, we wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to just go buy one or buy it cold to try before just committing to a case.
Yeah.
And also obviously like the cases are a little bit tougher to ship. So yeah, it'll be available at Vitamin Shop.
Shipping energy drinks sounds like the biggest bitch of all time.
It sucks.
Why do some of them, like they always come dented, not always, dented and stuff? That just, there's no way to.
The way to ship energy drinks, and this could be like a little bit of like a sales message here. The way to ship energy drinks is a full truck. Truck, 21 pallets, take them all.
Hack them in.
Just take them. But when you ship a case in a box, I mean, I maybe it could be cool, like put a GoPro in there, like watch this thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
People open it up, just beat the fuck out of it.
Seriously. Yeah, seriously. So look, cheers to you. Cheers to Straw Bango Margarita.
I got a couple more questions, dude. We're coming on the hour and a half mark.
We're still cheesing. Cheersing. By the way, he's done this with every shot he's ever taken with us.
Stings the nostrils. So this collab, originally, energy was only going to be available in Vitamin Shop, right? Only going to be available in Vitamin Shop. And now you guys are opening it up because this episode's going up like 4 days. It comes out this Friday at 11.
What are you looking at?
11 or 12 p.m.
Are you talking
Central.
about your
times?
The product launch.
Yes, yeah.
We're actually making an exception for the first time ever, and we're launching this at 11 a.m. Central just for you because you asked.
Oh, look at that, man. That's sick. It's a collaborative. It's a whole birthday launch at one time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this launch, and just recently we found out that you're going to sell this on the website, which you don't sell energy on the website at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's such a bitch to ship.
Yeah, but we're doing it for you. I think it's a good experience. It's about the fan experience.
Yeah, we're going to lose our ass on this one.
So you can get this. So not only, and you're doing the powders in the store too. So I'm going to walk through everything. So you can get all of this in Vitamin Shop. Every single Vitamin Shop?
Yep. I mean, it's limited. So people, if they want the instant, go to the store and get it, they better hurry because it's super limited in Vitamin Shop. But yeah, it'll be available on our website and in shop.
And can I talk about the bundle thing? Or is that still a thing?
Spit it.
With a can?
Yeah.
This is actually super, super cool. Before I found out that they were going to do the entire cans on the online, is obviously selling the pre, selling the pump. But if you buy the combo, the bundle of a pre and a pump, you get 1 can of energy.
Yeah, we're going to throw some singles in.
And to be honest, if I was going to buy one of these and I knew I was going to get the can, I absolutely buy the second one to get this. And I'm telling you guys, this is like the first, I would say tropical mango, obviously, and citrus are like tropical, but this just has a different type of tropical. This is like summer.
It's really good.
Really, really good.
And actually, it's funny. You want to talk about some of the side effects of the collabs and even this type of partnership that happens.
Side effects of this collab: penis enlargement.
Yep. Okay.
Penis jokes.
FDA disclaimer.
That's all I know, dude.
FDA disclaimer.
Does not actually increase penis size.
No, but look, this is super limited, so it's not going to convenience. It's not going to grocery. It's not going anywhere else. And all of Anheuser-Busch is pissed because they've tried it from the CEO down. They've all tried it. They love the flavor. And
like, who the fuck is this guy?
Anheuser-Busch is who is Max Tuning and how do we get him? So, I mean, look, TBD, I'm excited for everyone to try, all the products.
That's when we say funny. We actually own the trademark for Straight Bang.
Anheuser-Busch actually.
Is this where we tell them we also trademarked Max Tuning?
Yeah.
I have a good tie with Anheuser-Busch because I get DMs on the regular from the Bud Light account. And they're always just sending me beers.
This guy gets more free
That's
beer than us.
You do the Bud Light Lime thing all the time.
I keep trying to tell them, and you can maybe pass this along. And I said, if you guys ever need an official Bud Light Lime sponsored athlete, I'm your guy because I've been pushing that since 2000. Well, I don't want to say before I turned 21, so 2010, something like that. Yeah, and so I'm super, super stoked for this. And I think a question a lot of people have: what are the chances that something like this turns into more of a full-time thing after it? Or is it like, hey, realistically, that's not happening, could down the road?
I think it's going back to that story about, the disclosure and listening to feedback, and right. It's fun to do stuff this way, right? It's a limited edition. That's always been the aim. I think there's definitely the current thinking is it's when it's gone. But as always, Ghost probably more than any other brand, maybe except for Sour Strips. Like we listen to the people, and we'll see where we go from there.
It's kind of like with any brand. It's like limited time, never coming back unless it does.
Well, I think there's enough. I think there's enough in our history where we've limited is meant limited, right? Yeah. Enough stuff hasn't come back, but this is one that honestly, when I drank it out of the can for the first time versus like the tester bottles, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because when I came to Chicago and they were already on the multiple variations.
Sure. Yeah. Versions, whatever.
Versions. So they were already like down the road of like, we've already gone through like the shittier samples to get to that. And they had a final like 1 or 2. And this is the one that I chose sweet elixir into your mouth.
Sweet.
And a question, and I don't know if this is, hopefully people don't get upset if I ask this. What has been the best selling athlete product launch you've ever done?
How do you define best?
Total revenue sold.
The problem is we haven't made the same units of all of them. So I think the fair comp would be like first hour sales or something, or second hour sales.
What's been the most successful? Was it Guma?
I think, it's like either CG or you.
It was Guma, wasn't it?
But I will say at the time that I will say this though, at the time that it launched, when Mango V1 launched,
we didn't have that many units of that.
That was the best. That was the most excited.
So if we had a lot more, like we didn't anticipate that, right?
Yeah.
So if we had a lot more, who knows?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I want to. Okay, so I'm going to tell the people. First of all, we got to run those numbers up. Okay, we can't have
Skew the data.
And we are going to skew the fuck out of the data. And to be honest, I'm going to do something special for the people on the pod.
Just so you know, Vitamin Shop is a spins track channel, so max tuning will now be officially you will be in the data.
I am gonna
needing to be skewed.
If first of all, if you guys ever use skew the data on any of your social, that's trademarked, and I will sue you. Okay, but I'm gonna do a little special here on the pod. If you guys got to this point in the episode, I want you to leave a comment down below. First of all, you got to be subscribed. You got a thumbs up. I'm going to check that. Actually, whenever someone says that, they can't actually check if you've done any of those things. I can probably check if you're subscribed, but just thumbs up the video, okay? I'm going to give 5 people. You're going to get. I'm going to do this out of my personal stash, okay? I'm going to give you a case of this energy drink and one of each of these. You're going to get. So 5 people are going to get a 12 energy drinks and one of these. I'm going to send it to you out of my stash. Leave a comment down below just using
Should we just
the
not
word.
send them any?
You guys send me a pallet of
That's
this
what
shit.
I'm saying. and why do we send you a pallet? Because it's the safest way to ship.
That's true. Ryan, what word do they have to use in a sentence?
Sweet.
God, you're so lame. Okay, sweet.
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 I thought you were going to say wiener or something.
Sweet.
Sweet. Okay. Use the word sweet in a sentence. 5 people. You're going to get the pre, the pump, and an entire 12 pack of the energy drinks. And I think you guys are going to be blown away. Guys, to finish it out, what is next for Ghost? Do you guys, let me ask this. Do you ever think you're going to go down the route of snacky poos or alcohol?
Yes and yes.
Yeah, snacky poos definitely. I think alcohol. We've played with some concepts.
Some Celsius?
It's no, not Celsius.
What would it be? You just blew my mind. Now I'm gonna have to talk to you guys after this.
But alcohol. A lot like my comments earlier about just like making sure you understand the ramifications and responsibilities of the category. Getting an education first. We've got a great person to learn from.
I don't know the ramifications.
Anheuser-Busch, right? It's exactly what I said. Learn before, I'm making sure we have the info and we'll see where we go from there. But look, the short answer, and to echo something that Ryan said earlier, as far as what's next for Ghost, more of this. That's it. We want to keep doing this on a bigger scale with more people and having more fun. I mean, we're so blessed and so humbled that we've gotten where we are. Sometimes I don't even know how the fuck it happened, but grateful for all of it.
6 years.
Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah.
Blows my mind that, first of all, that me and everyone else is still relevant. That's great. But the fact that, I remember day one of Ghost, launching the first website crashing.
Ghost is coming.
Ghost is coming.
Don't know if that.
Oh, these
cool,
mics, dude.
Cooler.
That sounds real nice.
Yeah.
Ghost is coming.
I'm gonna put the Ghost is coming on the screen right here. It was
the original.
It was just.
I think more of this.
One of I think our biggest secrets, if you will, secrets to success is patience. And I think, we've obviously done a lot of shit in 6 years, but if you zoom out and you look back at all the things we haven't done that we've had opportunities to do, or all the POs we haven't taken that we could have taken, I think the ticket to our success is purely, and the brand success is purely just to be patient, stay in your lane, and only do things that you are 100% confident that you can knock out of the park. So for the next 5 years, and when you mention alcohol or you mention snacks, or any of these things, right? We're 100% looking at all these things, but we're only going to actually launch them if we're 110% confident they are going to be fucking home runs.
Yeah, you want to go out there and you want to give 110%.
Yep.
We want that to be the Ghost rep.
Yeah.
That we, bangers only.
Well, I think that you guys have
and
created.
This is one.
That's absolutely a dinger. That's an absolute dinger.
Not you guys. We.
Wheat. That's right. And I thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I think that Ghost has done some amazing things. And I think the coolest thing you guys probably know is that every single other supplement company knows who the fuck you are. And that was something that really was the point when I knew with Sour Strips that I was like, I'm no longer I got a long way to go, but I was like, these big brands, like, they know my name.
Now make them never forget it.
That is, and I think it's cool for you guys to be trailblazers in the space of just making a brand that does it all, does it correctly, has the sickest branding that anyone's ever seen, with ingredients to back it up, an amazing culture, and just continue to innovate and inspire entrepreneurs, other businesses, and even the people that are trying to copy what you're doing. I mean, you know, they're watching your every move, man, and it's cool to see you guys in a place where, like, you know, you went from, I don't know if we're going to fucking make it, is this the right decision, which you guys told me in the early stages, to just doing some huge things, and I'm excited to be along for the ride. And I just want to say one more time, if you guys are interested in checking this collab, it drops this Friday, my 33rd birthday, September 9th at 11 a.m. Central Time. And let's blow it out of the water. You can obviously save 20% on everything on the website, energy drinks included. 20% using the code MAX. And of course, comment down below using the word sweet. You can win yourself the whole thing. Sweet. What does mine say?
Look, man, the ride wouldn't be the ride if you weren't on it. So we're so grateful, and this is fun. And
Power bump.
Yeah, look, happy early birthday. We are going to be celebrating, soon.
Vegas style, baby.
Life is beautiful.
That will wrap up.
I'm gonna make sure we sneak some cans of straw mango into the suite.
It's not in there?
That's sweet with SUITE, not sweet like SWEET to win. But you know, still, we'll get some straw mango, and life is beautiful. Happy early birthday! Thank you so much for having us.
We're gonna celebrate because we're gonna break some freaking records. I tell you.
Cheers, bro. Love you. Thank you for having us on.
Absolutely.
And, thanks for everything you've done.
For everyone watching, if you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment down below so you can win. If you're on any sort of podcast streaming service, give us a review, 5-star. Doesn't take much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Eat more Sour Strips. Drink more Ghost.
Skew the fucking data.
And ever forward. Done.
Good stuff.
Not drinking 45 days, ripping 2 shots during a pod before I go deadlift.
Sounds like Ghost.
What a life.
Hey, dude. Whoa, dude. What's up, dude? Hey, dude.
This is gonna crush.
Really good. Yeah, dude.
Hey, man. What are you doing? Come here.